Well, first off, I want to thank you for taking the time and talking to us about yourself and the band Novo Combo. So, how are you doing today?
Great, mate. Thank you for having me. It's good.
So, you guys are just getting ready to put out this new album that's coming out, the 45 West 55th. So,
Correct. It's out. It's
yeah,
out there.
oh yeah, yeah. So, talk about that album and talk about the making that album and the the significance of the title.
Right. Well, 45 West 55th. That's when we first got together. We all lived in Michael's apartment on 55th Street in New York, and so they thought it would be a good idea to go back to our roots, of course, the origin of the band. And we all lived there together and rehearsed for about 6 months and played all over Manhattan. And then before we got signed, and then we finally got signed to Polydor. And that's pretty much the origin of that. And it was Stephen and Michael's idea to go back. Let's call it 45 West 55th. Sounds cool to me, And so here we are. The record, I think we all felt like we had some unfinished business. We had quite a few songs in the can that we recorded in the 80s,
Yeah.
And we went back and reviewed it, and we thought, well, this is really good stuff. People should hear this, Because actually some of it, live to 2-track even sounded better than our multi-track recordings,
Yeah.
And so we used to rehearse a lot, and as soon as we get that great energy in a song and then record it, So you sort of captured a nice moment,
Yeah.
And so I think those songs have that kind of magic in them. Anyway, so we all felt like we had unfinished business and we wanted to get it out there. And it was Stephen wanted to get together, put it all back together, the original band, and do a record. So we started writing, and we wrote some new material. And then so there's new material. There's some early material that we had in the can, and then we have 2 live pieces on there, which is Axis Will Turn was one of my songs. It was a live radio broadcast, I believe, from Park West in Chicago. And it was, I think, recorded on the King Biscuit Hour. And so we used that song sort of for Michael's drum solo. Right. So we put a drum solo on the record. I begged him to do it, And, they say drum solos are, boring, blah, blah, blah. But, I'm working with Michael Shreve, undoubtedly one of the greatest drummers of all time. And I just thought it'd be great to have a drum solo on the record.
Yeah.
So we always used Axes to introduce his drum solo because the energy was real good. So we put it on there live. And in the new stuff, Steven's got some new tunes, Pete's got some new tunes, and I wrote a couple of new tunes. And we just put it all together. And we did it online. I was working out of Nashville, and Steven was in Florida, Mike was in Seattle, and Pete was in Pittsburgh. And we just exchanged tracks on Dropbox,
Yeah.
Did parts, redid parts, fixed parts until we got it the way we wanted it. And so here it is. It's released now. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, especially like you said, you had those older songs from the 80s back in the can and stuff like that. And then you also were talking about the new material that you wrote. And you were just talking about, being able to write this new material, not even being in the same state or same area, which is so cool with modern technology now, where you guys don't need to be together to you can make a studio album and never even see each other.
Well, exactly. Of course, we were always in contact, Zoom calls, and what have you. But it was wonderful. Really, it's a great, exciting thing to learn. Because we all had studios that we'd go work in, and we had our engineers that would do all the work for us, and then we just cut tracks. It was great. Turned out real nice.
Yeah. When you go back to some of those older ones, were there you said you had some of those songs in the cans. Were there ones that you also had that you were kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think we really want to redo these ones or put these ones out, or like maybe these ones didn't really work out, didn't sound as good, and then maybe that's why we didn't put them out?
Well, yes and no. I think we really liked them a lot, but we just decided, certain songs would be better than others, but yeah, there's still more stuff that I still like a lot,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
So for anybody who might not be familiar with your band, how would you explain the style, the stylistic of the music of Novo?
Well, I don't know. I think we came in at the cusp of 1979 into 80, and I think there was a style in pop music that was coming on. Like a lot of reggae was happening, and of course, a lot of jazz fusion. And Michael and myself, of course, we all came from that area. And we got together, and they just wanted to do some pop stuff, and we wanted to do reggae style stuff. And of course, Michael, he loves all the rhythm, and he wanted to play that stuff. And so we just started jamming, and just created what came out.
Yeah,
it's pretty much it.
Yeah. And then you guys had the self-titled album that came out in 1981. Talk about writing that and being able to do that, doing your first debut album.
Yeah, that was it. That's what we came up with. And I think it was just a sign of the times. There's a lot of people around. They compared us to the Police a lot, but I always felt like we were kind of like the Police were like the Beatles, and we were kind of like the Stones. We were a bit more rowdy than they were, but of course they're great. But there was a lot of that going on at the time. We used to go to this nightclub called Privates in New York City, and man, all they played was great reggae, and so we just picked up on that groove.
Yeah. And then you guys had the hit the Up Periscope, and then you guys played Solid Gold. How was it like, doing that, being on Solid Gold?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. That was really great. We had a great time with the people there, and of course the dancers are kind of fun too. It was wonderful. Nice experience.
Yeah. And then you were also talking, you were talking about, like, people comparing you to the Police and stuff like that. And you were talking about more being like the Rolling Stones. You got to work with Mick Jagger. How was it like working with Mick?
Well, I never really worked with Mick. I just hung out in the studio with him.
Okay.
Chris Kimsey produced our record, who produced Some Girls and all the way up to Emotional Rescue for the Stones. And so, it enabled us to be around the Stones quite a bit, and they're pretty happening guys. There's something I was going to say, and I forgot what it was about the previous song we were talking about, but now I forgot what it was. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty exciting, because I had met Michael and Steven in Florida. I went for an audition. Actually, I went for an audition for a female singer that was doing a hotel show band. Because I just left LA and I was in Miami, and I was kind of looking for a gig, just something to pay the rent,
Yeah.
And so I answered this ad, Rags to Riches, and I go down, and there's a big mafioso dude over there. Hey, what the girl wants, give her what she wants, So I do this audition for this girl singer, and it was pretty cool. And some guy that worked there as an engineer put a bug on me and said, "Hey, man, Michael Shreves and Stephen Dees, they're going to be here auditioning guitar players tomorrow. You're pretty good. You should come down tomorrow." I went, okay. I thought, yeah, sure. Always, my hero, And, but anyway, that evening, Stephen called me, and I went down and jammed with him, and it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. I said, "Hey, you want to come back and jam tomorrow?" Yeah. Okay. You want to come back and jam tomorrow? Yeah. So 3 days. Now 4 days. You want to come back and jam tomorrow? Yeah. He said, "Well, do you want to be in our band?" Yes, please. Let's go. So 2 days later, I was in Manhattan with Michael and Steven. And I was just there for about a week. And we went down to visit Chris Kimsey in the studio. And this shadow came over me. And I went, "What's that?" Turn around, and it was Mick Jagger. I couldn't believe it. It was like amazing, There he was in real life, And so it was really great. It's a really great opportunity to be around those guys.
Did you have any other, like, I always talk about people who've worked in the industry, especially people who've worked in an industry so long, and stuff like that. Was there anybody else that you kind of got to work with or have that kind of like interaction like you had with Mick, where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in the same room with this person?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we toured with a lot of great people. Pete Townsend, got to hang out with Pete a little bit. Wonderful, wonderful man. I got to sit in on some of his sessions on the first solo record. Of course, I got to hang out with Gary Moore, the late great Gary Moore. Wonderful little story about him. We were playing. I think we were playing in Attica, and I went out early that morning, and all their buses were gone, and Gary's guitar was leaning against a pole in the middle of the hotel. I went, uh-oh, he's left his guitar, So I grabbed his guitar, and we went to the next city. I can't remember where it was, and I took it to him, to his hotel room, and he's like, oh, my God, I thought I had lost that. Thank you so much. And after that, we were like great friends, He's just an amazing man, just constantly practiced 12 hours a day. It's just played every minute of the day. And that's why he was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's incredible. And there were many others, we toured a lot. I got to tour with The Fix. Got to hang out with Cy Kernan, what a great, great artist, great writer. Anyway, lots of stars we were around.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too. Going into that with the touring and stuff like that, did you have a favorite tour of yours? Throughout all the tours you did.
Well, I know what it was I was going to say. When we did Solid Gold, that was the Rolling Stones "Start Me Up" debut.
Yeah, okay.
I was pretty stoked about that. Yeah, and of course the Greg Lake tour was pretty cool with us too.
Yeah.
Cheap Trick, a few dates with Cheap Trick. Pretty exciting.
Oh yeah. And then a question I always ask everybody, it's kind of like picking children, so it's pretty tough to figure out. But if you could pick one song from your career, from the Novo discography, and put it into a time capsule, and civilization finds it thousands of years later, what song would you want them to hear?
Well, I really think I did some of my best work on this record on E-Train. The new version of E-Train is really, really nice. And there was a lot of things that we wanted to do on the first version that we didn't really get to do. So we were able to put it all together this time. And Steve and I really, really worked on it nicely. And I'd put that right in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then okay, yeah, but with like piggybacking on when we're talking about making that first album when you guys were like in a studio all together, really being there, versus like I said, nowadays when you can kind of do it, piecing it together and doing all like that. Do you guys feel like do you gelled easier when you were together, or do you think that it was easier being kind of separate and kind of all putting your ideas into one?
Well, it was pretty amazing. I mean, we really gelled well. The Zoom calls, man, when we connect on Zoom calls, it's like so great, because it's like we're all together in the same room again,
Yeah.
And we have such camaraderie and love between us, Of course, we had our hard times, like all bands do, It's a marriage of sorts, and it gets real tough, but I don't know. We were so tight, and every time we get together, it's just like the same first day. It's really good.
Yeah,
they're beautiful, beautiful cats, man. It's just great being around them.
I was gonna say too. I always ask a lot of bands. I'm not sure if you guys were together or touring, but did you guys have any of the complications? And I talked to bands with the 2020 with all the COVID stuff. Did any of that kind of affect your guys at all?
No. We weren't touring or playing live during that period. So we were all doing everything we did was online.
Okay.
of course, worried about each other and looking out for each other during that time. But we all stayed pretty safe.
Yeah, because that's I said I like you talk to a lot of bands, and it's kind of crazy because it's like in one aspect they don't they didn't really they don't love the fact that there's this thing coming around, this virus that was going around, but also it was time where it was the first time in their careers to some of them that they had the long extended break that it was actually kind of good for them because they've never had that long enough of a break from their families or from their stuff like that. And a lot of them call it, the curse/blessing.
Well, nobody could really work for a while. That was a real problem for everybody, but yeah, I think the time off and break was good for everybody at the same time.
Yeah.
It got them out of bar life. If you had to play in nightclubs and bars, which is really a bad place to be during COVID, bar epidemic, bar flu. So it had its positive and negatives, I'd say.
Yeah, especially those bands like you said that are in like the big, big cities like New York and stuff like that, and being able to, you have to travel, with public transportation. So it's like
right on. Yeah, I was glad I wasn't in New York at the time. Let's put it that way. I'm isolated in a small town in West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia, and it's a quaint, beautiful little town, and I like it here. And it's nice, it's not the big city, blues that can overwhelm you at times,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then, being the fact that it's getting really, really close to the Halloween time, and getting close to that, do you have any favorite horror movies, or do you watch horror movies or scary movies at all?
Well, I haven't in a while, but I certainly have in my life. And of course, Bela Lugosi is my all-time favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got it coming up soon. Actually, my birthday is on the 29th.
Oh, okay.
I was actually born on Halloween night. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So do you guys do you have any plans for 2025 with the band that you can discuss?
Well, I think we will probably start another record at some point. That's a possibility. I'm not sure if we'll tour. I mean, we're all kind of getting up there, Actually, I'm going to be 70 on the 29th. Oh, 70. I never thought I'd be 70. And but it's possible. I mean, if it demands it, we'll probably get together and do it. We're all capable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, it's amazing that you see a lot of like I said, these musicians that have been around for 30, 40, 50 decades that are still going out every day and touring and still sound amazing. So it's like they obviously maybe parts of the 80s they might not have taken care of themselves completely, but at least they've kept themselves they kept themselves good enough and healthy enough that they can still do it nowadays.
Yeah, we might have partied a little bit too much at times, no doubt. Yeah, I feel great. I really do. I feel like I'm 45 still, at least. And I love to play. We've got a studio, and we just play all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, anything else you want to say to the fans before I let you go and have the rest of your day?
Well, yeah, just to give us a listen, check out our record. I think you'll really like it, and pick it up. Pick it up, novocombo.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, novocombo.com. Pretty simple. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time, and like I said, I really dig the music. I did listen to a little bit of the newer stuff, and hopefully we get some. Go ahead.
I'd probably put "Don't Throw Your Love Away" into that time capsule as well.
Okay,
check that one out.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some new music, and like I said, if you guys decide to do, luckily I'm on the East Coast, so if you guys do any shows that are I'm in Baltimore area, so if you guys do anything around the area, hopefully I'll be able to come and see you guys play live.
Okay, mate. I'll let you know if we're in that area for sure.
All right, man. Well, you have a good one, man.
I appreciate it, Ron. Thank you so much, man.
Oh yeah.